Wow, what a Saturday in the association. I love the playoffs. I mean, it was just amazing. I would talk about, last two games because the first one, Miami was ready. It was 1-2 Cancun, 1-2-3 Cancun, so they were out of there. But um, last two games, I really wanted to get in. But first, there was a couple things that was sticking in my craw from um, a couple days ago, and I heard nobody talk about this. I was talking to my mom about it yesterday. I heard nobody talk about this, but I got to give credit to my man Brian Gelsiler and Sam Mitchell. Their show on NBA Weekend on Sirius XM. They brought it up to veteran referee Steve Javy on their Saturday show, and I was kind of listening to it just a few minutes ago. That play with Brunson at the end of the Thursday night game where he missed a free throw on purpose because it was only point 0.5 and Detroit had no timeouts left, that has to be changed because there's no way in the world, even if that was an accident, which I don't totally believe, that was a little bit of home cooking, clock management there. Even if that was an accident, you shoot the free throw again. You don't give them the ball again with a chance to throw it in. You get a tip in or something, then they go to overtime. Or what's worse, maybe somebody catches and shoots a quick three, a la Derek Fisher against the Spurs in 2004, I think it was. You don't give them a chance like that because that's just what they needed. There was no chance if the ball came off the rim immediately as somebody touches that ball, it's over. So you can't have that. So I think hopefully the NBA can make a quick adjustment because that should not happen anywhere else in these playoffs. Imagine if Detroit had a timeout and were able to take it from half court, the Knicks could have lost the game right there. So even if that was an innocent mistake, which I don't know if I believe that, but yeah, I think that clock operator made a savvy move and said, "Oops, start the clock. Okay, take it out again." You got to change that immediately. Second thing that I didn't like, and I've been complaining about this for years, so it's not going to change. And now ESPN has part of the NBA package moving forward, so they have no post game. You have two great games, two great endings. One against the Denver game against the Clippers, and then the Warriors and the Rockets. You got no post game, nothing. I turn on Sports Center and I get top 10 plays with soccer goals and baseball plays. I mean, I love baseball, but come on, read the room. You just had a great ending. You can't give me a half an hour of studio. Malika, Stephen A. and Perk or something. Give me a half an hour just of what we just saw. I mean, that's not a good thing for you. I got to go to NBA TV, which I never liked their post game coverage anyway. They give you the interviews from the press room, which is nice, but I want to hear some analysis. So they're not going to change it because they've been doing this way for a long time. But I think that's a horrible drop ball. And if any executives over there listen, you got to get some type of post game. I mean, that's ridiculous to have two great games like that, the way those ended, and then go to talk about soccer and great plays and stuff like that. Come on, do better. So getting into the games a little bit, I think Denver showed a lot of moxie. Um, that championship medal they just won a couple years ago, and they're trying to show that that they feel that they can still do some things here. And I love seeing Joker after Game 3. There was a sideline shot of him getting into it with his team and the coaches. To show that we can't just show up here. We got to deliver, and we got the talent. And so I give them a lot of credit. I give Michael Porter Jr. a lot of credit. That's an injury that he definitely, if this was a regular season, he would have been sitting out for probably at least a week. And he played well. He showed a lot of determination. Aaron Gordon, my namesake Jamal Murray, always, he played really, really well. And then, of course, the Joker, just an amazing, amazing, amazing talent. And what I really give them credit for is after developing that big lead in the third, and then the Clippers did an amazing job getting back into that game with that zone defense. It kind of threw Denver for a loop. Having the moxie to really hang in that game and be in it at the end with a chance to win, and then ultimately that amazing dunk at the end by Aaron Gordon. I always say you have to stay engaged all the way until that final red light goes off. And he was there. He was engaged. He lined up perfectly for the rebound, and it came right to him, and he got it off. I mean, with a millimeter of a tenth of a second. I mean, I saw that a few times, and I went either way on each. But then they showed a definitive angle where it was right out of his hands, just a frame, just one frame out of his hands as the ball went through the net. So just an amazing finish there. I said that this was going to be at the beginning. I said this was going to be the series to watch, my favorite series, and it has been. It's lived up. There's only been one game that kind of blew out, and that was Game 3. So I think this is going to be a tremendous ending. I don't know if Russ can get back. Brown played a great game. Guys filled in, and if hopefully Russ can get back because I think he's the Energizer Bunny on that team. He gives them a lot. But if not, if they have to hold them out another game, at least they got it back to 2-2 going home, and hopefully their guys can bring it, and try to make it competitive. And I gotta admit, I've been laughing at Ben Simmons for a while, and not really laughing because I think it's really a tragedy. The guy with all that talent just has a mental block. But I think he plays some amazing defense, and he got a steal, and he got a run out dunk. I think he was really active, and I think he could have got a few more minutes. I think he only played about 7, 8 minutes. I might have ramped him up a little bit more because I know he's such a liability on offense that it's hard to do that. But he gave them some really really tough minutes. So kudos to Clippers for bringing him on. I think they've made a lot of good moves there. And then moving to the last game, it didn't look good for the Warriors in the first half, and I was like, oh wow, this is pre Jimmy Butler Warriors, and they hung in there. Steph did a great job of closing the gap in the first at the end of the first half, and I thought that was the key to the game because it went. I think it was like 12 or 13, and it went all the way down to 3 by the end of the first half. And I said, okay, now they're in this. They really got a shot because I think they took the momentum there. Right there, they took the momentum back, and Steph started getting off a little bit. And then Buddy Hield made some great shots, and then my man GP2. I always say he is the glue guy. He's a difference maker because he's a winning player and he makes winning plays. It's not going to always show up in the stat sheet with big numbers, but he makes winning plays, winning defensive plays, slips to the basket for dunks, makes a timely three. He's a winning guy. He's what I call your ultimate glue guy, and he came through. And then of course Draymond just stout defensive play at the end, holding Şengün down at the end. Şengün's been their best player, and he held him down. But the Rockets got to find a way, and they did it in game 2, but they got to find a way to get Jalen Green a little bit more consistent. And I did get to hear my man Perk talk about it. Or actually, I'm sorry, it was on Nightcap with Shannon and Ocho, and they had Antoine Walker on there saying that he's got to get up at least 25 shots or so. Just keep shooting. He's your best player. That's arguable because I actually think Şengün might be their best player, but I think you got to get him more shots because you don't have a lot of places to go for offense. So um, they're taking their lumps, and that's what happens with young teams. You gotta grow. You gotta learn how to win. So a lot of these playoff games early, you're gonna make big mistakes, and they're gonna cost you because that's what happens in the playoffs. But I think they have a really bright future, and I think they're still in this. If the Warriors hold out Jimmy for an extra game to give him a little bit more rest, they could definitely get the game, and go back. What was it? It would be 2-2 going back. So yeah, I think this series is far from over. They've shown that they've learned from their mistakes during this series. From game 1 to game 2. So maybe game 3 to game 4, they'll make the adjustments. Their coaches, Udoka's an amazing coach. So I think he will definitely make the adjustments. And if I was Steve Kerr, I might hold out Jimmy one more game unless he's absolutely sure and he's ready. just to make sure he's totally, because you need him at full Jimmy mode. You don't need him hobbled around out there. You need him really, really set. So, man, this has been an amazing first round, and I'm just looking forward to the end of it. And off we go.